I was reading a book that was sent to me by a friend in England. It was written by Rashad Field. It was part of a trilogy, and it was the middle book of a trilogy. It was called To Know We Are Loved, and I was reading that book, and I came across about 4 lines that just intrigued me so much. I was reading them over and over and over again, and this is what they said. I made it the display quote for this book. It said he was talking to someone who was very close to dying, and he said, "If we stop for a moment, it is possible to perceive a pattern in our lives. The motivators that have influenced us become much more obvious. We are able to see life unfolding from both ends at once, coming into the present moment. But until we get to a certain point of realization, this is not possible because everything is still seen as a series of apparent causes and effects, that you have to be able to get to a place in your life where you can step back and realize that there are really 2 kinds of time. One of the kinds of time is what I call horizontal time, or cause and effect time, or the scientists called Cronus time, phonological time. This happens, and then this happens, and this causes this, and this is the cause and effect. And we have a tendency in our lives, as we look at all of the things that happen to us in our lives, to believe that everything has a cause and effect relationship. And so the reason that I am here today is because of all the things that I have done, all the choices that I have made, and they have led me to this place. But then there's another kind of time, and this is the kind of time that is called eternal time. And this is a line that doesn't go horizontal, it goes vertical, it goes straight up to our source of being, to the place that we come from. And this line is a kind of time that is deathless and is worthless and is eternal, and it is always there. And when you get to a place in your life where you cross that line, when you see the place where horizontal time and vertical time cross, you have this realization that me, this personal me, this ego of mine, is not the thing that's making all of the choices, that there's something else that is involved. I called my publisher and I said to him, I want to step back. I want to step back from my life because I know that there have been forces or powers or some kind of energy that has been impacting me throughout my entire life, and I've been able to step back. And as it says in this quotation, it's so important to realize that everything isn't just coming from the past. There are things that are coming from the future, and as well, that we're all always pulling out. It's like I just talked to someone who has a little baby. A little baby's just a few months old, and I said, you realize that little baby's wisdom teeth are already there. They're not going to come out of the past. They're already there. We're going to pull them out of the future. They're not going to show up for another 20 years or so, and that there are going to be choices to be made at that time. What do you do with them? Do you leave them in? Do you cut them out? All kinds of things. But there is this sense that not only is there a chronological cause and effect time taking place, but there's this eternal time in which everything about, for example, our entire physical being has already been handled for us. And I was like, what your height is going to be, and what the color of your skin is going to be, what the color of your eyes are going to be, and when your hair is going to fall out. I know the experience very well. So what I decided to do was to take a look at what were the circumstances and the people and the events and the things that's kept showing up in my life, going all the way back to the time that I was just a little baby, all the way up to just recently at the age of 73, which is the age I am now. Is we recorded this show, something took a hold of me and said, write this. And I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, just because there was something that was pulling me in the direction of this, is something that I absolutely had to do. And I started to realize that that's really the story of my entire life, and there's a story of all the rest of our lives as well. One of those 10 secrets for success and inner peace is that you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it, and know this, that your mind created everything in your life that you call a problem. And self-actualizing, highly functioning people who live at these extremely, extraordinarily high levels of consciousness never put their thoughts on what is if they don't like what is. Because if your thoughts are on what is and you despise what is, and if you look at poor people, if you look at unsuccessful people, if you look at sickly people, if you look at tired people, if you look at addicted people, you will see people who put their attention constantly on their problems, on what is wrong, on what isn't working, on what I can't do, and so on. They'll tell you about it. They'll focus on it. And when your thoughts are on what is, and what you think about is what expands, you continue to attract more of what is into your life. When I had a practice, I had a woman who came to me who said, I just went through a divorce 7 months ago, and I've been dating, and I've dated 4 different men. and all 4 of them have used me as a sex object, and every single one of them called me up after the first date and, were mistreating me, and they didn't have any respect for me, and that was the end of it. And she said, I'd like you to talk to all 4 of these men. And I said, there's only one common denominator here. You are attracting into your life what you are putting your attention on. It's called the job effect. You can't think about what is missing, and you can't think and put your energy and talk about what is if you don't. Like what is can't do that unless you want more of that to show up. Third, you cannot put your attention or your thoughts or your energy on what always has been. If you put your thoughts or your energy on what always has been is what will continue to show up into your life. What always has been is the wake of a boat. Your life is a boat. It's heading up the river in that direction, and is heading there at 40 knots. And you're standing on the stern and you're looking down at the water. And as the boat goes in this direction, here you are looking down into the water. And what do you see? You see the wake, and what is the wake? The wake is the trail that is left behind. That's what the wake of your life is. That's what the wake of the boat is. And if you ask yourself the question, what's driving the boat? What's making this thing head in this direction? The answer is the present moment. Energy that is being generated by the engine and nothing more is what's making the boat go in this direction. And then if you ask yourself this key question, is it possible for the wake to drive the boat? Can a trail that is left behind make a boat go in this direction? What's the answer? Impossible, isn't it? And so too, is it impossible for the wake of your life, the trail that you've left behind, to be the reason why your life is going in this direction? It is not because of anything that has happened back here. That's an illusion. That we live under what has happened back here is a trail, the choices you make in this moment. And if your thoughts are on what always has been, this is the way we've always done things, this is the kind of person I am, I can't change, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, all of those cliches that have become so much a part of our life. If your thoughts are on what always has been and you despise what always has been, you will continue to attract more of what always has been, even though you despise it. It works that way.